Koby, how's it going?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, so every team in the East top seven made at least one acquisition ahead of today's trade deadline, except you guys. How did you keep from allowing that other activity to impact your own decision making?
I think we've always been hyper focused on us ever since the off season. I think for us, the bulk of the work was done in the off season, and we really wanted to address our shortcomings we felt from last year's playoffs. And so, free agency was a big uh, point of focus for us to make some valuable additions. And then also internally, we had some really good development this offseason and into the season as well. And so while those aren't acquisitions at the deadline, they're certainly really important parts of our roster. And we're really, really happy and pleased with how we've been playing. And sometimes, you know me, I'm very active and do a lot of volume, but sometimes you don't want to mess up a good thing. And so we're going to roll with what we have, and we're excited about the group.
Ultimately, what went into your decision to not make a deal today?
Well, I think a few things is one, reingratiating Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. If you want to call that our trade deadline acquisitions are pretty good. There's going to be some time to reacclimate them once we get off the minute restrictions. And so already thinking about those challenges is a lot when you're adding that level of talent to a team that's been playing so well. So thinking about adding another addition to that, finding a successful path and minutes for an addition just didn't seem like the right thing to do at this point in time, especially with how we've been playing.
Serena, go ahead, and Joe Varden can follow.
Just to follow up on that real quick, Koby, how much did how well you guys are playing right now factor into the decision making not to make any moves?
I think it's a combination of the results and then also the talent level on the roster and how they've been playing, right? So individually, when you go down the list of guys that we have acquired, from Max Strus to George Niang, and then when you look at the internal development that we've seen from a Dean Wade, from an Isaac Okoro, from a Sam Merrill that was in the G League, was in our G League team last year, and developed him over the course of the summer in our summer league roster, and through the injuries, realized that he can be a really key contributor for this roster. And so it's a combination of the results, but also seeing how the additions around our core have really started to captivate a city, to be honest with you, and certainly have our trust and certainly our admiration moving forward.
What have you made of this stretch of games and the streak that you guys are on? How well you've been playing? We haven't gotten to talk with you about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't been able to to take a step back, but because we're still rolling right now, and we want to keep it rolling. But when you hear, first in franchise's history, 15-1 and best start in calendar year and all that kind of stuff, it does give you pause, to realize you're one of the best teams in basketball, and that's what we've always set out to do. Have a sustainable roster, a roster that's going to be well built for now into the future, can compete for long stretches during the season and hopefully compete for playoffs and ultimately a championship. And so seeing this team come together is really, really gratifying and exciting, Serena.
Joe, go ahead.
So we building off of that, since you traded for Donovan, I feel like you've been pretty cautious when it comes to expectations on this organization. But given how you've played for the last 2 months and the decision that went into not making moves today, do you feel like this team has enough? Is this team a contender? Can you catch Boston? Can you play into May and maybe even June?
Joe, so I think two things. One, when we did acquire Donovan, we wanted to make sure, to your point of level setting the expectation, that it wasn't championship or bust. Certainly not last year. And it's not this year either. But we do think that we have the talent level to compete with the best. I think we've shown that we had, this year and last year, was able to compete with the best teams in the league. And we're doing that now. We're still young. Obviously, Playoff experience is something that we need to add to this group, and go further. You know what I mean? Past first round or rounds of the playoffs. Those are really hard. The NBA is really difficult. The parity is difficult, but we feel we're right in the mix of some of the best teams in the world right now, and we're going to continue to compete for that.
And then my follow-up, I know it's only 2 games, the last 2 games, but what we've seen from Evan, he's doing the things that he used to do defensively, and now he actually is playing on the perimeter a little bit. If this is who Evan is, you know, you mentioned reacclimating him as like kind of one of your deadline moves. If this is who Evan is the rest of this year, how much does that change the team?
Evan, so he's 22 years old, and we're going to see the best basketball of Evan moving forward, not just this year, but into the future. He's going to continue to evolve. He's going to continue to get better. You've seen him after practice work on his shot ad nauseum to the point where we have to kick him out of the gym. This will happen, and it's gonna happen on his terms when he's comfortable doing it. And sure, we want him to continue to shoot more threes, but just having Evan back in the fold, we are an entirely different team. He's an incredible player. He's selfless, and he has such winning habits to have him on the floor. And yes, the evolution of his game will come, but we're not rushing it. He is just an incredible player to have. And as he continues to evolve, we will continue to get better.
Tom Withers.
Thanks, Sam. Hey, Kobe, good to see you.
Hey, Tom, I usually pick you first, Tom. What happened?
I'm dealing with the Brown Stadium and some other things, so you know
Okay.
how it goes. Hey, you mentioned it before. The every deadline is different, right? And there's different variables this year for your guys, and the circumstances are unique. In general, though, Kobe, with the play-in game, with the buyout market, has that changed the way you view the deadline in general? Is it different now than it's ever been?
It's different. I think for us, we didn't make a deal last year as well. And many can point to that as maybe we should have added at that deadline. I think this is a little different for us, and I can only focus on us. Like I said, the bulk of our work was done in the off season. You know, I think we will certainly, you know, monitor the buyout market. You know, is there a depth piece in there to help? It has to be a character fit as well. The one thing that I really love about this group is they genuinely do love each other, love playing for each other and for the city. And so you don't want to mess with that at all. You know, that continuity, that vibe, that energy that they're playing with in the locker room. So it would have to be a fit. But this year was a little different. And again, you know, the acquisitions, I like to say, of Darius Garland and Evan